My parents gave my brother so much attention that they even neglected me on my wedding day. That was my final straw. About 10 months ago, I married my boyfriend of 5 years and finally got my Disney wedding. Well, kinda, because everyone attended except my younger brother Derek, 25, and my parents. But the worst part, their absence wasn't even that surprising. For context, Derek was the epitome of a golden child. In fact, scratch that. He was a golden nugget who could do no wrong, ever. From the moment he could move outside of our mom's womb, he commanded attention everywhere. He won every academic competition in elementary school. In high school, he was student council president, graduated top of his class, and was crowned homecoming king. While athletic and conventionally handsome, he pursued theater in college before focusing on his marketing degree. I still remember the extravagant celebration my parents threw for his first acting role in a regional commercial. They invited literally everyone they know, every friend, every relative, and each person was served with extremely expensive champagne and catered food. The professional headshot they hung above our fireplace is still there today. My mom dusts it every morning, and when, that same year, I earned an honors nursing degree after years of rigorous study, I obviously expected my parents to not care that much. Like, maybe they'd just hug me and move on or say, good job, but instead they just nodded and returned to planning Derek's next audition. Fast forward a few years, and Derek's 28, a VP at a marketing company, and a corner office and company car. I know all this because my parents never failed to mention it at every family gathering. Meanwhile, I work as a registered nurse at a respectable hospital. I've saved lives and comforted people through their darkest moments. I've had old people thank me for not letting them die alone, but I guess it's not the kind of job my parents brag about. Sometimes I think back to childhood. My dad always pinched the extra fat on my arms and legs, enrolled me into fat camp, and constantly put me on the most extreme diet plans. And as if that wasn't bad enough, he'd always remind me that Derek never struggles with his weight, or you could look as good as you brother if you just tried harder. Luckily by high school, I mastered the art of pretending these comments didn't hurt. But over time, with very expensive therapy, I've accepted these differences. What choice did I have? For years, I tried earning my parents' approval, taking classes they suggested, joining clubs they picked, even briefly attempting theater, a failure Derek never lets me forget. But nothing was ever enough. By my late 20s, I stopped trying to impress them. I focused on building my own life, advancing in my career on my own terms, forming relationships with people who valued me for who I am. Honestly, things got better after that. Knowing my parents were obsessed with appearances, I kept interactions with them superficial to avoid conflict. They didn't seem to notice my emotional distance since they had Derek to fawn over, or if they did, they didn't care. It was around this time that I met my husband at a hospital fundraiser through a mutual friend, and unlike my family, he actually saw me. He loved my sarcastic humor, my compassion for my patients, and yes, even my body type. He was one of the first people in my life who never suggested I change or compare me to anyone else. He made me feel worthy of love, and after 5 years together, he organized the perfect proposal. A quiet night at home with takeout and our favorite show playing in the background. It was perfect, intimate, and completely true to who we are as a couple. Naturally, I told my parents about my engagement last year. Their reaction should have been my first clue. There was no congratulations, just silence. Then my mom asked if I was really sure about rushing into things and suggested I might want to tone up before the wedding. My dad barely said anything at all, just muttered something about the expense of weddings before changing the subject to Derek's recent vacation to Greece. During our engagement party, my husband noticed their odd behavior that I was too nervous to fully process. They spent most of the evening huddled in a corner over my mom's phone, barely interacting with any of our guests or my future in-laws. Later, my husband told me he overheard them talking to Derek on the phone, who was clearly upset. From what he could make out, they were saying things like, "This wasn't the plan," and "We never expected Louise to get married first." When I asked them about it the next day, they dismissed it as just catching Derek up on family news. There were small red flags throughout the wedding planning process. My mom had already created multiple wedding Pinterest boards for Derek, who wasn't even engaged yet, and showed zero interest in helping me choose a venue or dress. When I found my dress, a simple but elegant A-line gown that made me feel beautiful, my mom just commented that it was practical and appropriate for your figure. I ended up planning most of the wedding with my mother-in-law, who treated